Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to expand to you some honest story, some honest stories from my life about my relationship with work. When I was 14 years old, I was lucky to give the opportunity to deliver papers, a paper boy basically, and it started off with me doing just a Saturday morning shift of basically just doing one round around my village and all that. A few years later, however, I was given the opportunity to deliver papers on a daily basis. And this was just also a little bit of something extra from when I was attending university. I started basically on like the 4th or the 5th of January, and I'm still doing it to this very day. So now you might think somebody at my age would probably want to stop doing that, but however, consider this. I get up about like 6 in the morning, and it takes me roughly about 50 minutes for the rounds I do to go around and deliver all the papers. This takes about 50 minutes, and it brings in £40 a week. Now, I know fine well what you'll probably be saying is that is doesn't sound like a lot, and you're right. It isn't technically the greatest sum of money in the world, but however, it's it's finding extra time during the day to actually do something else, to earn a little bit more money, here and there. And I've been doing this since basically late 2012. Nearly 10 years of doing that. That goes a long way, ladies and gentlemen. Trust me, it does. Because at least it shows the employer that you're committed, you've got the integrity to at least get there on time and to do the other stresses of your day, whether it was me going to university or me going to work or me revising for exams and that at school. It's what it has to be, because you know what, there it's part of the job work is that if you want something you really really want, you got to work for it. I mentioned that in basically the beginning, but it's true. There's no denying stuff like that. Meanwhile, when I left university, here's my employment history aside from doing my paper rounds in the mornings. Here is exactly it. 6 weeks during the summer of 2016, just before I went to university. When I came out of university, I went back to that same fish and chip shop for 3 months. So what we're talking about here, that's about 18 weeks. That's basically 4.5 months in total I've spent at this fish and chip shop since 2016 over the course of that time. Then I spent 7 weeks as a Christmas temporary sorter for the Royal Mail, and I got paid a much larger salary there than I did at the fish shop. It was something about like £255 a week for 40 hours of work. And I even applied vehemently, and I was almost nagging them day in, day out for me to do extra work, because it was the sort of thing I was good at, and I was able to just, because it required no real effort physically, it left me to think and come up with all sorts of great things, and it was like freedom of mind in many ways, and I was able to earn money from it. And also, I made a bunch of great friends when I was working there. Many of them, even this guy I knew since secondary school, who I hadn't seen for years, and it was an absolute lark, and I got along with those people just fine. There was no problem. I worked with OAPs. I worked with this really big, really jolly Italian guy of 65, and they were charming, lovely people. I've worked with people who were also there who were transgender, and also one person I worked there who I said had a far worse criminal history than definitely one that Chris had. And he was canny enough in himself. I mean, he wasn't the most desirable person in the world, but he was nice, as long as you didn't hack him off or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? I say that because on the very first day we worked, we actually walked home to the metro station together, and he told us all about the area that we were going at and how there was like a brothel on the end of every street or something like that. I'm guessing he knows from personal experience. But the fact is, he said he would, and even though I thought he was like about my age, he was actually like 28 or 29, and he had a family of his own to support. In fact, it was most likely to assume that the people working there had families of their own to support. Not to also, there's this one guy who was like about like 19, who was like one of the youngest, who was training to become part of the Navy, and he was one of my best mates when I was working there. In fact, I even gave him a bottle of beer as a Christmas present, because the last time I worked there was the 20th of December 2019, roundabout at the same time when the pandemic was being heard all across China, or when it really started to kick off. Then after that, there were a few months that went by, about 7 in total, in which work was almost impossible to find because of the pandemic. And then on the 22nd of July, I did actually manage to find work as a COVID cleaner, an essential worker for this job centre in a part of Newcastle. And I've been working there ever since. It's been 6 months and a whole week since I've been there. And I work there 58 hours in addition to doing papers. So that's 58 hours a week since like December, because again, it started off as 40, then 50, and then 58. And I get paid monthly for the work I do there, and it's a beautifully hefty sum as well. And just like my time at the Royal Mail, I was able to think for myself as well as work, and you know what? It keeps my mind fresh and doesn't turn me into a bleeding rabbit. So I could still continue doing my work at doing, videos and continuing my lifestyle with more disposable income. But at the same time, I have debits to pay. I have bills to pay as well. I have chores to do, like, ironing, hoovering, taking care of like the bathroom and all that. I have things to do as well. And just because I work day in, day out, like from dawn till dusk, it doesn't mean that I can't stop doing my own, things by taking care of myself, like, ironing and, all that, because I'm aware my parents are getting older as well. And the thought of somebody in their late 70s doing housework that Chris should be doing for her is a disgusting thing to see. It really, really is. Meanwhile, this isn't even going to be the end for it for me. So let me try and take it back to exactly counting up all the times I've worked in my life. Let's see. 6, 18 weeks. We'll call that 4.5 months. A month and a half at the Royal Mail. So that's 6 months since, and I was so at the age of 21, I'd worked exactly 6 months over that life at that point, and then 6 months and a week at the Royal, at the job centre where I work at now. So that's a whole year. That's 53 weeks of work that I've done in my life. So that's basically a whole year out of my 23 years of being alive. I turned 23 on the 31st, because even though it's the 29th, whatever, we'll call it 23. I've worked exactly a year in total of that life already, and it's likely to continue that way for me to work. I mean, there are also, even though it may be possible that I may not even begin to see the idea of a pension until I'm 66 years of age, even if I get to that point, I'll still have worked for it. I'll still have earned money, and I've earned so much more money than I could possibly imagine at the job I'm doing at the moment. But that doesn't mean to say that I can't earn more by doing fewer hours. I know that for a fact, because you know what's even more interesting is that when I was considering applying for other jobs, when my time at the job centre would come to an end, it was surprisingly so much easier when you're in work and you're applying for jobs elsewhere to get responses much faster. They'll see that you're in work and they'll see everything else, and You could be almost in line the next day. This even happened to me a few times as well, where I tried to look around and I got replies about a day or maybe 2 days later saying they liked my CV and they wanted me to have an interview with them. Now, of course, because we don't know what's the thing with COVID is going to be for the next couple of weeks, it will likely be that possibly my contract will continue, because it's supposed to be 3 weeks today is when my contract is supposed to end, but we've got to wait. I've got to wait and see exactly what's going to happen. But even then, it won't be nearly as difficult for me to find work after that, because you know what? I've proven myself in the worst of circumstances to be able to find work in all of this. There's no reason why, with what I can prove on my CV, that I can't just do it again. But the point is, ladies and gentlemen, is that I tried. I do my effort. I bust my arse off. And people may look at me and say that, you know what, you're only working minimum wage. You're only, you could still earn far more, and people have earned far more at people much younger than you than what you are now. But you know what? That isn't going to be the case forever. And anyway, I've got nothing to prove to those people. I've got to prove to myself that if I really want to earn a much higher salary, then I've got to work harder. I've got to take myself far more seriously. And even though I may only be a young man at 23, I don't particularly feel young anymore. I feel like lines are starting to form like around my cheeks. I feel like I'm visibly getting older. So, with that being said, I've got to do something about this, and do something about it fast. Fortunately, I think I know exactly what I've got to do, and it's something I've pretty much always done throughout my entire life. Just getting on with it. And in due time, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to see what that means as well. So anyway, especially if Chris is an example. So anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video of Chris and work. Please make sure to leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section down below. Let me know what you guys have thought about Chris and work for yourselves. Please also make sure to also like and subscribe to get daily notifications when my videos come out. And I hope to see all of you guys again in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye for now.